Now, 26 current and former MPs, including 2 current ministers, have had expenses debts of up to £500 written off after failing to pay them. The expenses watchdog IPSA revealed today that the overall bill for MPs' expenses in the last financial year rose by £1.7 million. Well, let's talk to our reporter, Adam Fleming. What's going on?
Afternoon, Joe. It's MPs' expenses, chapter 350. Yeah. So here's how the system works. MPs get a card from the Commons that they use to spend on expenses like travel and hotels and food and things like that. They then have to claim that money back, and if IPSA decides that one of the claims isn't valid, they owe IPSA the money. What's happened today is that IPSA has published a list of MPs who haven't paid that money back, and so IPSA consequently have had to write off the debt. As you said, it includes 26 current and former MPs, and it comes to a total of £2,105.43. And as you also said, it includes 2 ministers, Tobias Ellwood from the Foreign Office and Edward Timpson, who's a Children's Minister.
Right, well, the public are going to look, I should think, very critically on the idea of any expenses or money owed by MPs being written off.
Well, this morning, David Cameron has said that he expects those ministers to pay the money back as soon as possible. And one of them already has. Edward Timpson's office have just released a statement saying he is going to repay the princely sum of £127.70 to IPSA today. Tobias Ellwood, who's the minister from the Foreign Office, his office say that they're investigating to work out what happened here. We've spoken to one backbencher who's been caught up in all this, who is really angry with IPSA. He says that these are quite piddling amounts of money. They really amount to very small administrative errors rather than kind of a big fraud on the public. And they also said that IPSA really hasn't communicated with them very well over this.
Adam Fleming, thank you very much. Well, it may be chapter 350 on expenses, but there is a principle here at heart, and to some extent this was the scandal, and still is, that rocks Parliament.
Yeah, I mean, I have every sympathy with Edward Timpson, actually, in this matter.
Why?
This seems petty, and I also think that long ago a deal was effectively struck with MPs. We're not going to pay you a great deal of money. We'll acknowledge that you could earn a great deal more outside Parliament, but we will let you make quite generous claims on expenses.
Yes, but that system's changed now, hasn't it, Toby Young? I mean, everyone knows what the deal is, and people like, particularly Mr Timpson, are not short of a bob or two. And where else in public life would you be able to just write off your expenses?
Well, Alan Yentob managed to write off a party he held at Glastonbury, charged to the BBC, so perhaps the BBC. But I think in this case it's the sort of thing which is going to put off existing MPs from remaining in Parliament and put off good people.
So you don't think they should pay back the money?
I think if we continue to treat MPs in this infantile way, it's going to lower the overall calibre of MPs, and that's ultimately going to cost the country a great deal more than these piddling expenses.
Well, they are getting a pay rise, of course, aren't they?
Yes, but they're still paid comparatively poorly compared to members of Parliament in other countries.
Can you explain, though, why, I mean, I don't suppose you can explain, that the bill has risen by £1.7 million in terms of MPs' expenses? That's been revealed by IPSA. I mean, how is it, if with a new system in place, that somehow their bill is getting larger?
I don't know.
But it's not acceptable.
Well, as I say, I'm not going to jump on this particular bandwagon and criticise MPs for making these piddling claims on their expenses. I think actually the solution would be to just pay them considerably more, and that way ensure that you get the very best people representing our country in Parliament and making the best decisions in the interest of the country.
Not everyone will agree that £127 is piddling, but we'll leave it there.